We are the Young Carers Service based at Carers Trust Tyne and Weir, and we provide a range of support to young carers aged 5 to 25 years. In 2017, we were asked to carry out a consultation by Public Health with our service users around their own health needs. We asked them to complete a short questionnaire during some of our health-related activities that we would deliver during the spring half-term school holidays. The questionnaires were based around a similar piece of work which we carried out in 2007 when we were funded by Macmillan Cancer Support. And we hoped to see if there was any similarities or differences between what the young carers were reporting now and what they reported 10 years ago. The results were very surprising. In every area where we were able to compare current and previous responses, the reporting of health problems had increased considerably. One area in particular which stood out for us was in both consultations, when we asked the young carers how happy and healthy they felt, generally they said they felt okay. But then when we asked further and additional questions, when we dug a little bit deeper, it came out that really they weren't very healthy and happy at all when we asked particular specific questions. One of the questions we asked the young carers was, we asked them how many portions of fruit and veg they ate on a day-to-day basis. Only 15% of the young people who completed the questionnaire said that they had 5 or more portions of fruit and veg per day. 40% said they ate only 1 to 2 pieces of fruit and veg per day. But one of the main barriers for eating, a healthy diet for the young carers was time, because they didn't have time to prepare healthy meals, and it tended to be quick food, so like eating on the go. Skipping meals is also a big problem, because only less than 60% had an evening meal on a night, which is fine if they're at school and they have a cooked meal during the lunchtime. But if they're not at school, like school holidays, and they normally don't eat anything like healthy or cooked on a lunchtime, and then they're missing out on an evening meal as well. And less than 50% of the young carers ate breakfast every day.
In my family, we have 3 different meals to prepare for, so nothing's always the same. And by the time my mum and my brothers had their food, for me, I just can't be bothered to make anything healthy, so it's usually a ready meal or whatever's quickest.
Because you won't have enough time or sit down healthier meals, which will make you better. You just have to be rushing around with all the other jobs you have, and you just got to fit in whatever you can.
You might be busy in that, after work you just go and get a takeaway or something, because you can't, it's late at night and you can't be able to cook.
My brother's got autism, and when we try different food or anything, he refuses to eat it, and he always runs around a lot in the house, so we don't really have that much time to eat healthy when we're always running around after him.
I tend to be more busy on a morning than on a night, so I rarely get breakfast or something around then, so I just wait until later on when I've got more time to eat. So I think it just depends on people's times when they eat.
It's like when you wake up, you care for, you go for your little ones, and whoever you care for, and you go and see them before you do anything else, basically.
When you have to go to school, you barely get any sleep, and
time to yourself.
Yeah, you don't get time to yourself to do literally anything, because you get up, get ready, sort everything out. Sometimes you have to even make breakfast and stuff, and sometimes I skip breakfast because there's no time for it.
Exercise was another area that we looked at. 3/4 of the young carers stated that they did take part in some sort of planned exercise. And for those that didn't, time again was the biggest barrier, because they just don't have time to go out and exercise in a class.
Depending on what you do and how you feel, sometimes you might not couldn't be bothered to go at the gym or whatever, because you feel like you're always tired because you're constantly doing it, but also you might not have the time to do it, so it might make you feel a bit rubbish because you want to do it but you can't, or sometimes you're just too tired because you might not have had sleep to do it.
Sometimes I think the parent health affects things like that, because my mum, she can't really cope with things like running and cycling. She doesn't really do sporty outdoor things because it hurts her head too much. So I think sometimes the parents' health can affect things like that.
Sometimes you might not be able to have the time because you're too busy doing stuff for the people you care for. So you might not be able to time to go to the gym or stuff.
It really depends, because sometimes when you have siblings, you can't always do what you want to do. You have to think about them. So sometimes when I want to go and do some things, I can't because of my two brothers. So I think carers in general, it might not be quite that easy to go and do exercise and things like that.
Young carers reported a number of different health problems that they'd experienced either some of the time or all of the time. These things which included bad temper, headaches, feeling tired, feeling low, tummy aches, feeling nervous, not sleeping, eating problems, backache and toothache. Staff have reported when on residentials, a lot of the young carers have, pains in the tummy and headaches quite frequently.
Like if you're worried, you might start getting headaches, backaches because you're constantly leaning over, waiting for an answer, and you might be like anxious. You might start fiddling with your hands, your arms and stuff.
Yes, the most common physical issues that we see are headaches, stomach aches, muscle tension. So sometimes we ask a young person to draw where they're hurting onto a body picture, and this helps us identify what the triggers are for the pain that they're feeling. We've observed various mental health issues in young carers, such as low self-esteem, depression, anxiety, issues around food. There have been incidents of self-harm where young people attempt to gain control by either neglecting their own care or by causing physical harm to themselves. And young carers sometimes worry that they might have the same mental health traits as parents.
I've got a condition where I am constantly tired, constantly in pain, with another condition where seizures are brought on by tiredness. Then with the care and responsibility for a full family, it literally is, if one thing topples, the whole lot will topple.
Being a young carer can be very tiring, and coping with other people's moods can affect the way young carers feel physically and mentally.
Sleep was a significant issue for a lot of young carers. Around half were getting less than 7 hours of sleep per night, and 20% had less than 5 hours. Many of them just felt that they couldn't mentally switch off.
Sometimes I can't really sleep because I'm too awake. And the thing is, like, during the day you're tired, but when it comes to sleep, you're just wide awake. And then in the morning, you just don't want to get out of bed.
I rarely get sleep on when we go to school, because like when I get home, obviously I do what like my rules, but then and then when it comes when I go to bed, I forget, I remember about homework and stuff for school, so then that keeps us up. And then if I don't do that, I just go to bed thinking about it, so I'm not really sleeping, and I get up the next day and I'm gonna do it all over again, but I'm tired. And so it's more on when I'm at school than when I'm not, but it's a lot of pressure around school going to sleep because there's always stuff I need to do.
Poor disturbed sleep can also be linked to feeling worried and anxious. Young carers might have difficulty switching off at the end of a full day, or be disturbed by a family member during the night. They might even experience bad dreams. And their use of technology might not be as closely monitored as required, resulting in altered sleep patterns. And this can have real negative effects the next day, increasing stress and exhaustion, lack of concentration, irritability, leading to a lack of motivation at school, which can ultimately interfere with young carers achieving their academic potential.
You're going into your teenager years, you need loads of sleep because you're starting exams and stuff. So you need loads of sleep for that.
Free time to relax was also a massive problem. Almost 40% said they had less than half an hour per day to themselves. Around 50% said they were looking after siblings or looking after the person who was ill or disabled, which stopped them having free time. However, the biggest barrier was homework, with 80% saying that this stopped them having time to relax.
Depends on what day it is. If it's more of a quieter day, then I might get a while to myself, but then most days I don't.
When you have siblings and you finally get some time to yourself and you just want to relax and lie in your bed, your siblings might just run around all the time and be really noisy when you're trying to get a nap or something away from them. So that can affect like you getting some you time.
You want to do something but you can't really take it because there's no time. You have to do the dishes, clean up, like tidy up. They can't do it themselves, they need them like help. So when I help them I feel okay that I helped them, but also feel insecure that I don't like go out much.
Most of the young carers we spoke to said that they were very or quite happy. However, there was still only 30% who stated that they didn't feel very happy and were not happy at all.
It's quite hard because I live in a little bungalow, which is quite small, and it has just a little bedroom, so I have to live with it. And my mum's in a wheelchair, so I have to live with that as well. And when I go to school, my friends are like talking about how big their room is and how they got it decorated and stuff, and how their mum like takes them to the metro centre every night, and it just makes me feel alone and like lost.
I've lost count of how many times I've started to cry at school, and everyone just, like, most of the people start laughing at us and telling us that I'm a crybaby and that. But, like, I couldn't imagine them, like, having an autistic brother, because, like, they're always going on about how perfect their brothers are.
My friends are all going on about how they're going on loads of holidays and they have so much money and they're getting new trampolines and stuff. We can't really afford to go on big holidays, so it's just annoying to hear them going on about stuff that we can't have. And it just makes me feel upset that they're bragging about what they've got and what I can't get. Lonely, because like your friends might not like you because you don't get, if they ask you to go out you might say no because I'm caring for whoever you care for, and they might think you're being nasty at them and like you don't want to hang out with them, so they might not understand why you don't want to go out with them. It's like when I try to tell one of my friends that I was having a hard time at home, they didn't listen, and when I try to tell them something they just laughed at me because I don't think they understand.
Or like, I mean, a lot of teenagers feel depressed at some point in their life, whereas young carers, I think, probably feel it earlier on. Like we know quite a few like year sevens who can't manage school because they've got so much going on, and then when you get to like year 10, 11, junior GCSEs, you can't focus on things, and they just go, well, that's why you're exhausted, that's why you can't concentrate, why you're feeling low, and it probably is only like a very small percentage of why you're like that.
It makes me feel quite angry actually, because I have to work quite hard not to burst into tears at home because the boys are really annoying. But when I go to school, it's hard not to show that because it just feels like it's just really hard not to.
Worry is a big problem for our young carers. 50 to 60% worry about their families or the person that they care for a lot or all of the time. Obviously, a big issue is around bullying at school and relationships. They find it very difficult to form relationships at school because of family circumstances.
Yes, common themes that crop up during therapy are just how much young carers do actually worry. And this can present as anxiety or even panic. Worry doesn't stop when they're away from home. In fact, it can actually increase, especially when young carers are at school, because they can worry about the person that they care for and wonder what's happening back at home.
You don't know what's going to happen to them if you're out and no one's in the house. They could like fall and end up in a hospital. They might worry that their mum's going to like slip or go in the shower and slip on the floor and she's going to have nobody there, because you're gonna like, when you were at home you were the only person that she could rely on to help.
When you're at school, whatever lesson it is, you might not want to concentrate on it because you're thinking about other things, so then that gets in the way with your work, and then like your work starts to get a bit worse because you're concentrating about other things than on your work.
you're concerned constantly, and it's on your mind, so you can't concentrate about anything. If it's in school, you can't concentrate about your work and stuff.
A couple of months ago I went on a school trip, and it was 2 nights overnight, and I had like a really bad dream, and something it happened to my brother, and I woke up, and then I couldn't sleep for the next 2 nights, and I like couldn't do anything, and I was always in like a really bad mood, and this was before I came to Young Carers, and it was just horrible, but now I'm here. It's like, it's better.
Even close friends and family might not appreciate just how much a young carer is worrying because they're so good at masking their feelings, and that's sometimes in order to protect the person that they care for. And we see this especially in families where there's substance misuse. Sometimes a young person can present with anger, and they might think that they're angry at the person that they care for, but more often it's anger at the condition. So sometimes when they identify that, we can begin to work on helping them to control that anger.
I'm stressed at the minute because there's something wrong with my dad's arm, and we don't know what it's about, so I'm quite worried about that, because I've got stuff at school, like me getting bullied, and I've got that on top of my mind, so I'm always stressed, and I always take it out on the people that I live with.
Caring can result in young carers feeling very overwhelmed, both with physical tasks and emotional support. In some more complex family situations, conditions may worsen or never improve, and this becomes more about managing the worry than there being scope for change.
Often I get really worried that something's going to happen to her when she's just lying there because she doesn't move for quite a while. So I get super worried that like something might have happened in her sleep.
So I'm like stuck in the middle of a circle, and I don't know what to do. Sometimes I'm like super worried if like something's happened to my brother or anything, and it's just like really scary.
I would describe a direct link between what's happening physically and mentally. I've heard it described as dis-ease. So when the body is not at ease, then worry, anxiety, nausea, and all of the forms of mental health issues can creep in, masquerading as physical symptoms, when in fact they stem from mental distress. Constant worrying can result in very real physical difficulties.
Well, we asked the young carers, what could help them be healthier and happy? What would make a difference? Some of the things which they said was having somebody to talk to. Well, that might be somebody to talk to at school, like a teacher who knows that they are a young carer and they can share the problems. Or it could be a health professional that the family may come in contact with, a GP or a health visitor, who they can explain how they feel. Because all of these health problems and all those feelings build up in their stomach, and it causes has massive implications moving on into adulthood and being an adult carer.
Yeah, having a named worker that a young person could talk to at school during the day, either primary school or secondary, I think would work really well. And building that relationship, it's about the young person feeling that they can trust the person because they're sharing really personal information, I guess. So it's about building the relationship and them knowing where the key person would be during the day, or if they're really worried about home, being able to call home and just check everything's okay. I guess getting schools more on board and appreciating how it could be for a young carer that day. I guess everyone has breaks at school, but a key worker or somebody just checking in with a young carer to see that they've eaten, and maybe provide food sometimes if necessary. That would be a practical thing. But I think the checking in with the young carer emotionally is a really, really good during the day at school. That would be a real advantage.
I think they should put in place that somebody who you can actually go to speak to like one-on-one, who can actually see the sort of things that you're actually going on. That's not just during school, but also during home life, so we can get like support within school, whilst also trying to not being pressurized by teachers. As for out of school life, I think that would be a good idea for people who are out of school to maybe try and meet up, get socialising, get and meet new friends, and just to take that little bit of break out of the stressful life that they have to do at home. Maybe if it's just for like half an hour or an hour, it's still something that reduces a lot of stress, and it just helps a person to be able to function properly with everyday life problems.
With young carers, it's really nice to talk to someone that understands. Like maybe it won't be the exact same problem, but it might be something similar. And it's just really nice to like speak to someone that knows what you're going through and just understands.
You know, it's not just down to us at Young Carers. Yes, we do provide counselling or one-to-one support, but we're not there all the time.
Sometimes social workers are quite, when they do actually ask you stuff, sometimes they're quite patronising, and I don't really like that. People who are in Young Carers probably know what to say more than some people, because we have to deal with certain problems. It's just annoying when they speak to you like you don't really understand stuff. My social worker, sometimes she just comes to see my mum, and even though I really want to tell her something about the topic she might be talking about, I can't because she's just there to see my mum.
I have this social worker and she comes out to talk about things with my mum and like get her to remember things more. And after my mum's had all of her stuff sorted, she comes and sits with me and just asks us how I feel and stuff.
I think young people recognising that they are young carers and being identified is key to this, because a lot of young people are caring for at least 6 years before they're identified. In 6 years, caring for somebody can have massive health implications on their lives and the lives of the young carers. So there needs to be more campaigning and more raising awareness so young people come forward and are identified earlier. And then when they are identified, it's key that professionals work together to support the family holistically, and that young carers' voice is heard and supported in all aspects of their lives.